What's up, space pirates? This is your Admiral, the Dread Pirate Dr. Disaster, and you would think that a Superman movie being released in what I and others have recently affectionately referred to as Murica Month, you would think that would be cause for celebration, since Superman is about as quintessentially American as possible. But with the more we hear about this film, the more a lot of us are thinking,
oh crap.
It was bad enough that the first review for the movie was accidentally leaked by the Daily Beast the other day, and they said that the film was bad. They said that it was superficial and silly, and considering that James Gunn is the author of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies and DC content like Peacemaker, where everything is sarcastic and almost no scene is made with what I would consider to be sincerity, well, a lot of us were rightly concerned with James Gunn being the man that helmed the Superman film. It is becoming evident that we were spot on with our concerns.
Bingo.
But now, to make matters even worse, James Gunn has started doing interviews in preparation for the release of his film, and in one particular interview, he has taken a clear political stance, a clear side in the ongoing culture war. He came out and said that Superman is an immigrant, and Gunn said that the story of this movie is about politics and the decline of American kindness.
Why are you the way that you are? Honestly, every time I try to do something fun or exciting, you make it not that way.
So yeah, I'm finding it very difficult to get excited about this Superman film coming out this week. Not only has James Gunn aligned himself against normal, regular Americans, he's come out, as you can see in this headline here, and said, "Screw you" to these so-called jerks who get offended at his takes. And I've got to say, I really hope that this ends up burning them at the box office. Projections are looking pretty good for this movie because, let's face it, it's Superman and the marketing is nuts for it right now, but I imagine that at least some people will see what this jackass has to say and decide they don't want anything to do with this movie.
Hey, right back at you, bitch.
Alright, me hearties, make sure that you hit the like button on this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I've begun uploading some content onto Rumble as well, so make sure that you follow Dr. Disaster on that site too. Also, give me a follow over on X, where my handle is Dr. Disaster 1. But anyhow, let's talk about Superman and this controversy surrounding the movie, making me feel pretty confident that this is a film that was not made for me. This article here from That Park Place lays out what James Gunn said about the film. The article says, with mere days to release, director and DC Studios co-head James Gunn has finally said the quiet part out loud. Yes, the new Superman movie is about politics. In a new interview with the Times of London, Gunn opened up about the themes at the heart of his DC Universe reboot, and he made it abundantly clear that this version of the Man of Steel won't shy away from commentary. Perfect. I love how these idiots act as though this hasn't been tried before. How many franchises have been ruined or at least tainted by political commentary and adherence to progressive social justice bullshit that the majority of viewers either don't give a shit about or outright despise? Star Wars, Terminator, Ghostbusters, the MCU, Star Trek, I could go on and on. This has been done to death, and people are sick of it. But anyhow, the article goes on. I mean, Superman is the story of America, Gunn said, though it should also be noted that Gunn and DC have taken extreme care to omit Superman's classic American Way motto from the film's promotion. Yeah, instead of truth, justice, and the American way, it's being reported that for this movie it's truth, justice, and the human way. These people have taken the most quintessential American comic book character and tried to universalize him, as if all humans share core American values, which is categorically incorrect. The reason these idiots can't get Superman right after Christopher Reeve is because they hate what America is. But I digress. Reading on, he's an immigrant that came from other places and populated the country, but for me, it is mostly a story that says basic human kindness is a value and is something we have lost, Gunn said. This statement has stoked the fears of many that Superman will serve as a cultural and political progressive parable, rather than a traditional action-driven, escapist superhero film. While Gunn frames the conversation between Clark and Lois from the trailer, in which they argue over Superman's actions overseas, to be one of compassion, it's unmistakably wrapped in the language of modern political narratives, particularly on the topic of moral standing. The decision to frame Clark Kent's journey as a metaphor for immigration isn't new, but the Times interview puts Superman squarely in the crosshairs of today's deeply divided political landscape. When asked about how audiences might react to the film's themes, Gunn didn't hold back. Yes, it plays differently, but it's about human kindness, he said, and obviously there will be jerks out there who are just not kind and will take it as offensive just because it is about kindness, but screw them. Well, the dude is just being immature and asinine here. This idea that all you need is love and kindness is juvenile nonsense. A part of maturity is understanding that not everything and not everyone is worthy of your kindness and love. If someone or something threatens my family or my country or something like that, I will not hesitate to oppose it and help to destroy it. Superman himself, in my favorite comic book story featuring the character, fought off the creature Doomsday, beating him to death because he knew that the alternative was letting Doomsday wipe out all of Earth. Now, I find myself rooting against this movie. That being said, some outlets are predicting a pretty big weekend for the film. MovieWeb here, for example, suggests that the movie could make somewhere between $130 and $170 million domestically on the opening weekend. Others have reported that they could be looking at somewhere around $90 to $120 million. As the marketing machine cranks up, the projected numbers have risen, and I will say that I expect this new Superman film to clear $100 million on the opening weekend, but this has a chance, a very strong chance, at being a Pyrrhic victory. People are going to come to this movie simply because it says Superman in the title. But if the messaging sucks in this movie, the second weekend will suffer from poor word of mouth. This movie could very well end up being the DC version of The Last Jedi. That Star Wars movie was a huge box office hit, technically speaking, because it did sell like crazy at first. But it dropped off quickly, and it was essentially the catalyst for the end of the franchise as we know it. Here we are, going on a decade later, and Star Wars still has not recovered from the disappointment of The Last Jedi. This new Superman film will almost certainly perform well at the box office, due to the IP it's based on being so popular and the marketing being everywhere. But if this movie ends up being as overtly political as James Gunn is suggesting, and if it has the silly tone that many of us are expecting, then it is going to damage the DCU right out of the gates, and the follow-up movies are going to flop just like The Flash did a few years ago. But I'm going to leave it there. Drop your contempt for what James Gunn has to say about his movie into the comment section below, and we will talk there. Thanks for watching, me hearties. If you haven't already, your Admiral is inviting you to subscribe to the channel and become a part of the crew. Life as a space pirate may not be glamorous, but there's always plenty of booty.